Hi, welcome to the show where we focus on matters disability inclusive development in Africa. This is Africa's Disability Dialogues, and I'm Kinamdali Kagoya Sara. Tonight on the show we have Mr. Patrick Mwangi, aka Karuma, known as a marketer in profession, and he has a physical challenge, but he has gone beyond that disability to prove that disability is not inability. So stay tuned and continue joining us in the conversation. You can send your comments and feedback to our SMS line 20508 and to all social media platforms at Science TV Kenya. Welcome again. Karibu sana Patrick.
Thank you.
Can you please introduce yourself to our viewers? Who you are, what you have achieved, and what your disability is.
Okay, my name's Patrick Karuma Mwangi. Currently, I'm doing marketing, that is client market development at PricewaterhouseCoopers. My disability is called crab foot. Crab foot is a kind of deformation which occurs maybe during the birth. So my disability, I was born with it. It's something that I think developed as from my mom's womb. I'm a graduate at St. Paul University with a degree at Business Information Technology.
Yeah. Maybe you should let our viewers know what PwC is, because this is one very big organization in the world. Is it among the best 4 audit firms globally?
Okay. Yes, it is among the best firm for auditing, but not only the auditing, it also deal with advisory services and tax and regulatories.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you being with a physical challenge, it is an inspiration for so many people for you to be able to get where you have reached beyond your disability. But before we get there, through high school, primary school, and the university, because you are a graduate, have you faced any kind of discrimination in education?
Okay. Discrimination there on education. Mostly, sometimes they come depending on where you school, or also the people you interact with, depending on whether are they accepting you as the way you are, as a person living with a disability, or are they seeing you as a burden? Maybe sometimes you may be requesting for help. Maybe let's say, okay, for me I'm not using wheelchair, but let's assume I'm using a wheelchair.
Yeah.
There is a place where required for me to be pushed, to be helped, maybe to cause a load. You see, sometimes they see you as a burden. That leads to discrimination. You feel like you are not wanted in a certain environment. You feel like you are all alone. Yes, those are mostly the kind of discrimination you get in education environment.
In education environment, you as an individual, have you been able to go through that kind of discrimination?
Yes, I've gone through them, whereby you find maybe you go to a certain school. There's a school I had gone to at Dika. So at that moment, my story, my disability has gone through many processes, whereby I have used wheelchair, I've used crutches, and yes. So this place is whereby you find they don't have a lift, but the stairs they are using, they are very steep.
Yeah.
So it is kind of hard of making you to struggle as you go up to the classes.
And what did you do? Assuming now you are using the crutches or the wheelchair, and there's no way you can use stairs when you are not walking, were there lifts or a ramp? And if not, how were you able to get to those classes that were beyond the ground floor?
So what for me, I decided, since at the moment my legs, I have just come from operation from Kijabe, so I couldn't be able to be like using stairs now and then. So we had to quit and then look for an alternative.
You quit school
Yes.
because of that reason?
Yes.
Because the school you were in, they had not put support services for you to be able to access the classes you want to.
Yes.
For how long did you put school on hold?
Few months. Yes.
Then what happened? What changed that you decided to go back? Did you go to the same school, or you found a better school that was able to, the accessibility was okay?
I went to another school, just loud here or something. It's a good school, accessible.
Yeah.
Although it didn't have the lift, as the stairs are good, you can be able to.
They were accommodative.
Yes.
Now, assuming for you were able now to get a better school from the one you were in previous, but there are some children that they are not privileged like you were to be able to get a better school. So if they had to put school on hold because of that service which was inaccessibility, chances are they remained at home. They were not able to now go beyond the kind of education they were doing at that moment. Yeah?
Yes. So mostly those are some of the challenges people with disability encounter when it comes to education. You find that maybe you have the qualification and the school you want to attend to is offering the courses maybe you want to pursue to. But when you get to the compound, the environment, when you get to the infrastructure of the school, it is not accommodative to a person living with disability. So sometimes you may give up. There are many who have given up, so you decide, I won't go back to school, or you just give up. You decide, let this be the end of my education, because also going to a far place, it's also a challenge, because maybe you are using a wheelchair and maybe you stay at a place like Thika and you study at Nairobi. That means you need a help.
It is expensive.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
So you see, because the school which is around you, it doesn't have the infrastructure that is accommodative to a person living with disability.
And now because of that reason, you think that might be the reason why most people with disabilities end up being illiterate? They have not been able to go to school because that is one limitation in their life.
Yes, I would say so. That is part of their limitation to pursuing their education.
Yeah.
But also there are others, mostly people with disability. You know, the people view people with disability with different perspective. Yeah. Others say maybe it is a curse. Others say that he's not supposed to be educated. Others, they even ask people with disability in certain business that we are supposed to do. There are those that do believe that people with disability, their work is only maybe making shoes, repair, and making things like sweater.
Yeah, jobs that you're just stationed in one place. Now, what is your thought towards an inclusive education for people with disabilities? Because they would still hunger for education like any other person. For you, you've been able to go beyond the disabilities and proven that indeed disability is not inability. But not all of them are in a position to get the opportunity and the chances you got. You have faced numerous barriers in life, but you have overcome them. But there's someone, like you said, they choose to make that the end of their career life education-wise. What do you think can be done to make these schools inclusive? Because we hear most people refer to them as special schools. And special means they should be having facilities that are accommodative for people living with disabilities. They need mobility cards, they need hearing aids, the visually impaired need their guide to be able to take them around the school. But often we find that these schools do not even have enough classrooms. You will find children in a room, and those are different, like 4 different classes. When you go to a regular school, every room is for a different class and has a certain number of children and just one teacher at a go. But now for people with disabilities, it is crowded. The teachers are not competent. Probably they do not know sign language. Those who are visually impaired, they don't know how to look at the blackboard. Maybe there is no braille. What do you think needs to be done in the Kenyan education system to make education inclusive for everybody, including those living with disabilities?
Okay, thank you. So mostly what is happening in I think it's the entire Kenya. The government is mostly concentrating on putting up the schools, but I don't think they are considering people with disability. Even if they are considering people with disability, there is mostly what is very important to person living with disability. Because they may put up a school, just let's say like here we are, and then the school is okay, it have all the teachers, it have all the requirements that a student need to study for a certain course or certain grades. But mostly what I would prefer government to consider or concentrate on is infrastructure.
Yeah.
Because let's say someone is using a wheelchair, and we have different kind of disability. So we have those people who cannot walk, they're using their wheelchair, at the same time their hearts are weak.
Yeah.
So that means that person cannot push herself around. So that means even if he has the books, the teachers are there, it will also kind of make him feel he's not comfortable because he or she cannot move around the environment. Every time she needs to move around the environment because of the structure, because of the path, you must have to move. Maybe you're going to toilets or going to a different class. The paths, the way they are made, the way they are you able to move comfortably? Are you able to move without requesting a help from someone else? Because the moment you start, like every time you want to move from one place to another, you are requesting, hey, come and help me.
You need someone to help you,
Yes.
and not everyone is willing to.
Yes, people start seeing like you are being stubborn to them, you are being a burden. But when the infrastructure is okay, is smooth, the paths, everything, let's say like if it is a school, it has maybe 2 to 3 stories, it has a lift, which a person using a wheelchair crutch can be able to access and go to make the movement. Okay, that will be a bit more accommodative.
Yeah.
So for me, I would say if the government can concentrate on infrastructure around the environment for the people living with disability.
Yeah. Okay, for you it's just infrastructure in school, and these people are able to access education like any other person.
Yes, because mostly they concentrate on providing books.
Yeah.
They sometimes even provide the walking sticks
Yeah.
for people who cannot see.
Yeah.
But even if they provide you with the walking stick and the load is like
It's poor. Then your movement is going to be difficult.
It's also going to hinder from.
Yeah. In talking about still school, we are putting more emphasis on education because we know with education, a human being is able to achieve their goals.
Yes.
While you were in school, you said that there is a point you used crutches and a wheelchair.
Yes.
Did you get support from the National Council of Persons with Disabilities to access this wheelchair, or you got it from your own personal savings, your parents? Because we know that the National Council is supposed to assist in purchasing these things for people living with disabilities as one of their programs.
Okay, my point where I came to use a wheelchair after being born with clubfoot. I had to go under an operation because this was kind of disturbing me very much. I couldn't walk when there is rain, when there is a big sun. So I went for an operation. So that's where I came in. I had to use a wheelchair. Then from wheelchair I had to use a crutch so that I can be able to support my legs to be able to be strong.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I would say my advantage is the school I was. It do cooperate or work with APDK. So they are the one who help the school with
because APDK is the one that also helps the National Council to access these wheelchairs. So for you it was okay. And have you been able to get grants from the National Council to help aid your school fees and other needs you might have? Because we have funds that are set aside for people living with disabilities.
No, I have not been able to access any.
You have not?
Yes.
And have you tried applying for any?
Yes, I have applied.
Which one?
I have applied at the county levels.
Yeah.
Also, there's once I tried applying the one for National Council for People with Disability.
Yeah. At the county level or the national level?
National.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I didn't get any feedback.
You didn't get any feedback?
Yes.
How often have you tried? How many times have you tried applying?
The count one I have tried many times.
Many could amount to like how many times?
Like I used to try every trimester.
Okay.
I would fill those forms and then send.
And you have never?
No.
Not even once?
No.
And did they respond and tell you it has been unsuccessful because of a certain reason?
No. They haven't reached out.
No one reached out to you?
No.
And that might be an injustice because it is your right.
True.
Because the government sets aside this amount of money for people, specifically for people living with disabilities.
Yes.
We will go for a short break. See you shortly. Welcome back. This is Africa's Disability Dialogues. Remember to send your feedback and comments on our free SMS line 20508. Patrick, you've been able to become this great person in the society because the people around you supported you in all ways possible. Do you know your rights according to the Kenyan Constitution as someone who is living with a disability?
Yes, I do know my rights. And I think mostly knowing your right as a person living with a disability, it is very important because those are mostly the things that direct you on what you are supposed to be having and also the services you are supposed to receive from the government, and also the things that people are not supposed to do unto you because you are disabled. So when someone does an injustice to you, you are able to point it out because you understand your rights as a citizen. Yes. And what do you think can also be done to increase the awareness of these rights and the needs and responsibilities of people with disabilities, especially those in the rural communities? Because probably they're not able to access the internet, they're not able to read in English, they're not able to interpret. What do you think can be done to ensure that also these people in the rural communities know their rights so that they can fight for them, like right to education, right to health, right to life, and others? So what I would recommend is we have National Council for People with Disability. If they could be able to be holding conference, meeting at different places, mostly let them not concentrate here at Nairobi. If they could be able to kind of also publish those books on different languages, of different ways, communities, in order they will be able to understand on their own language. That will help. If they could try at least to be holding maybe let's say once conference per month in a certain community to teach them their right.
To teach and to raise awareness.
Yes, that will be of great aid to help.
Most of our guests and people we've interacted with say that people out here think that people living with disabilities need compassion and sympathy. What are your thoughts on that?
For me, no.
No?
I wouldn't like anyone to sympathize with me.
Why?
Just I don't like it because for me I think disability, everyone is disabled in one way or the other. It is only that mine is physical. Yes? So I don't know yours. Mostly what I say, instead of you sympathizing with me on a certain thing, give me the opportunity to show you what I'm capable of. And also, if it challenges me, I will accept. But also, give me that chance to also challenge you.
Yes, they should give you the opportunity like any other person to prove yourself that you are able to work and perform.
True.
Talking about that, have you faced discrimination in your employment?
At the moment, the organization I have worked with, the two of them, International Leadership University, I have not encountered any. And also where I am currently, I have not encountered any.
So HECO to PwC and International Leadership University.
Yes.
I hope they are listening to that. Because of your disability, let's talk about relationships. You're a human being and you also have desires and feelings. And at one point or the other, you've wanted to be in a relationship with a female. Has this physical challenge limited you in one way or the other when you are in your courtship?
At some point it did limit me because my disability, unless you pay a very close attention, you won't notice that I'm disabled. But so I was in a relationship, then as time she came to notice that this guy has a kind of walking style. And then she was like, no, I can't be in a relationship with a person who is disabled. So it is kind of challenge to people with disability. But I would like people to take us like other people's, like normal people's, they say they are normal. Because for me, I say disability is not like it is a curse, and also you can acquire it even
from a disease.
Yes,
someone can be diabetic and tomorrow they need to be amputated.
Yes, or even accidents. So it is not like something we went and said that we want to be born disabled or our mothers were willing to.
Talking about your parents, your mother, how was it for them when they realized they're having this beautiful son, but he has a challenge? Did the society alienate them, seclude them, like we see often?
It do happen to many parents with children with disability, but for me, unfortunately, my family is a very good family, a loving one. I have never heard of them addressing me as a person with disability.
Yes, and I think that is the reason why today you are this very, very professional and well-kept man.
So I would say thanks to my family.
You'd say thank you. Maybe you should tell them if they're listening.
So wherever you are, my family, my mom, the entire family of Mwaura, I would say thank you for the love you have shown unto me, all the support you have been to my entire journey of growth and education. Yes.
And what would you tell a parent who has a child with a disability and they think this child can amount to nothing?
Okay, for those parents who have their children who are disabled, I would say it is not good to maybe keep them in house. Maybe you are afraid what people are going to say. It is true, people are going to talk,
Yeah.
and don't expect people not to talk about it. But if you could support that child and show him or her the love that they require, and also support them in everything they are able to do, I'm sure they will be a great people, because we have people with disability who are doing marvelous things in this Kenya.
Yeah. And they should also just realize that this child is able to amount to whatever they would want to be if given the support they require from the entire community, from their parents, and even from the government, because at the end of the day they will need the society out here to be able to be embracing and to be able to be accommodating to them, to help them realize that there is still something very positive that can come out of this.
Yes.
As a man, we know for GBV, when we talk about gender-based violence, mostly they talk about women being regarded inferior to men, and it is double tragedy for a woman who has a disability. But also there is gender-based violence for men. Have you encountered that?
No.
Have you had someone who has encountered that because of their disability?
Yes, I have a friend of mine who had encountered it. She's a lady on a wheelchair. So it's kind of, she wanted to apply for a certain job in a certain organization, but unfortunately she couldn't be able to access to the place where she was supposed to drop the paper.
Severe.
Yeah. So she had to send the receptionist, but the person who was supposed to get the papers sent the receptionist back saying that no, today you don't have something to give, so unless the lady come next time.
Yeah.
So to the person, he was thinking that the lady had come to beg.
Borrow, to beg, yeah,
yes,
for money.
Yes, but the lady had come to apply for
a job.
For a job.
Yeah.
So you see, it's kind of, because of the disability, they don't see anything. Mostly what they see, they first see the disability, and that's a very big problem to the communities. They first see the disability before they see you as the person.
The disability comes as a barrier even before they engage with you.
Yes, but they are supposed first to see the person before they see the
How did that make you feel? Because this is a colleague, a peer, you know she's capable of working in that position she's applying for, but she could not be accorded that support she needed because of her disability, and the HR ended up thinking that she just come to beg.
It is something very bad, and for me, I was even telling the lady if she could take an action, that would be a bit good to, at least maybe there are others who have gone the same thing, but maybe they have not been able to come out or tell anyone. So for me, I was suggesting if she could.
And maybe she did not take that action because she does not know her right. So she was comfortable just with that response she was given. Or maybe she would have even raised her voice and say, no, I have not come to beg. I have come to apply for this position, and here are my documents. But now you see, when you don't know your rights, people are able to take advantage of you. Like the HR thought she's just coming like any other beggar to beg.
Yes.
And I think speaking out for yourself, being in groups, in social groups, will enable you to even be able to perform better and to speak out your rights to the people who would want to take advantage of you. As we wind up, what are your thoughts and what do you believe can be done to ensure that we have an inclusive society we are talking about Kenya, we are having people remove these barriers of disability, being inability to work and perform, and for just the society to embrace everyone and let them be.
Okay, mostly what I think can be done is most awareness and teaching people about disability, so that they are aware of what is disability, what are this kind of disability, what are the problems people with disability go through, and also people accepting and giving people with disability an opportunity to show themselves what they are capable of or what they can do. By that, I think it will kind of help us to be able to interact freely and work well.
Final thoughts. Do you see an improvement in Kenya? Let's talk about Kenya. About the attitudes people have towards people with disabilities compared to the previous years.
Yes, now has improved, because I've attended different meetings whereby different organizations are coming up and then approaching different organizations to teach them things to do with people with disability. Those are the things that are helping different organizations, different communities to at least know more about people with disability. Not as previous. Even being a disabled, it was
something serious no one wanted to tolerate.
Yes.
I wish we could go on with the conversation, but time is not on our side. Thank you so much, Patrick, for joining us. And to our viewers, thank you so much for being part of this conversation. I hope Patrick's stories has inspired you to be able to go beyond your disability and realize that you're able to achieve your goals just like you have conceived in your mind. This is Africa's Disability Dialogues. Keep the conversation going on our social media platforms at Science TV Kenya. My name is Kinamdali Kagoya Sara. See you next week, same time, same place. Have a good night.